You're about to close on your home. You receive wire instructions, you send the money, and it's gone. If you're buying a home and you got an email with wire instructions, you would probably assume it was real. It might have the right address, the right names, the right title company, the right timing. That is exactly why this scam is so dangerous. I'm Cathy Sabater, and today we're talking about wire fraud in real estate. How buyers lose life-changing amounts of money in seconds. Why this scam is so convincing, and the steps you can take to protect yourself before it's too late. Wire fraud is one of those most devastating scams in real estate because it usually hits at the exact moment buyers are already stressed. They're moving fast and sending the largest amount of money of their lives. The buyer is told funds are needed for closing. An email, text, or even phone call arrives. The message looks legitimate. It may appear to come from escrow, title, a lender, or even a real estate agent. The buyer, trying to stay on schedule, sends the money. Then comes the nightmare. The wire instructions were fake. The funds are gone. By the time the buyer realized what happened, the money may have already moved through multiple accounts. That is what makes this scam so terrifying. People assume fraud looks sloppy or obvious. A lot of the time, it does not. It looks very professional. It looks urgent. It looks normal. In many cases, the scam works because it arrives at the perfect moment, right when a buyer expects to be receiving wire instructions anyway. That is why this is not a cybersecurity issue. It is a timing issue, a trust issue, a process issue. So, how does this usually happen? A scammer gains access to part of the transaction. Sometimes that means hacking into an email account. Sometimes it means creating an email address that looks almost identical to the real one. For example, the message may come in and it looks like it's from your title company, but one letter, one number, or one symbol is slightly off, and most people do not catch it in the moment. Sometimes it means monitoring enough of the deal to know when closing money is about to move. Then the fake message gets sent. It might say the wire instructions change. It might say there's a last minute update. It might say funds must be immediately sent to avoid delaying closing. Since the message often shows up when buyers are already expecting action, they may not stop to question it. That is the trap. The fraud does not depend on the buyer being careless. It depends on the buyer what? Being busy, emotional, and under pressure. Now, here is the part many people do not understand. Once a wire is sent, recovering the money can be extremely difficult. A wire is not like a credit card charge. With that, you can dispute it with one click. Once the funds leave the account and get picked up on the other side, the window to stop the transfer can be. That is why speed matters so much. If a buyer suspects fraud minutes later, not days, not tomorrow, not after checking if everyone later, immediately. That is why wire fraud is not just expensive, it is brutal. The victim often realize what happens only after they believe they have done exactly what they were supposed to do. So what should buyers, sellers, and even homeowners moving money in a transaction do? Here are the important rules. Rule number one: never trust wire instructions sent by email alone. This is the biggest one. If wire instructions arrive by email, do not assume they are real just because the branding looks right, or the message sounds professional. Do not trust an email. Don't trust an email change. Do not trust a last minute update. Do not trust urgency by itself. Always verify wiring instruction using a known, independent, verified phone number, not the number in the suspicious email, not the number in a forwarded message, a number you already know is real. That one habit can stop a disaster. Rule number 2, confirm before you send. Before any wire goes out, confirm the name of the receiving party, the bank name, the account details, and whether the instructions have changed in any way. If anything is different, stop. If anything feels rushed, stop. If anything creates confusion, stop. In real estate, stopping for verification is better than sending in panic. Rule number 3, be suspicious of updated instructions. One of the biggest red flags in wire fraud is last minute change. If someone says, use this new account, please ignore prior instructions, or there has been a sudden update, treat that as a fraud warning until proven otherwise. That does not mean every update is fake. It means every update should be verified offline before the money moves. Rule number 4, move fast if you think fraud happened. If a fraudulent wire may have been sent out, act immediately. Contact your bank right away. Contact the title or escrow company right away. Ask for a wire recall and report the fraud to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center as quickly as possible. The faster the fraud is reported, the better the chance, although never guaranteed, that something may be frozen or intercepted before the funds are gone for good. Waiting is what makes a bad situation worse. Rule number 5, build a safe closing process before closing week. The best time to prevent wire fraud is not after suspicious instructions arrive. It is before the transaction gets to that point. Ask early, how will wire instructions be delivered? How should they be delivered? Who should be called? What number should be used? And what is the company's anti-fraud procedure? If the process is set early, the buyer is less vulnerable later. That matters. Fraud wins when confusion wins. Now, one important point. Wire fraud can affect cash buyers, finance buyers, sellers, investors, and even homeowners in refinance transaction. This is not just a first-time buyer issue. It is a money transfer issue. The larger the transfer, the bigger the risk. The bigger lesson is simple. In real estate, convenience can be expensive. A fast email is easy. A quick confirmation call feels slower, but take the extra verification step can protect money and for decades of money that you've been saving. If you remember nothing else from the video, remember this. Never wire money based on an email. Verify first, then verify again. Once the wire is gone, the damage can happen fast. I'm Cathy Sabater, and this is Real Estate Rules, Risk, and Loopholes. Next, we'll be covering another costly real estate trap buyers and homeowners do not always see coming. If you want more real estate rules, risk, and loopholes every homeowner should know, subscribe and stay connected.